to a
Hey, garage gang. Nothing better than wrenching while listening to Mr. Richard Holdner talking about LS intakes. Junkyard stuff's always fun. He's making some good power out at 6,500 RPM. Hell yeah. Anyway, back to what we're up to here. I've got my oil pan filled with goodies here ready to install. This thing just got final cleaned out because I went ahead and ported my little oil passages here. If you can, let me see if I can zoom on that. Yeah, there we go. Deburred all that, took off all the flashing. It'll flow way better. Took off all the sharp edges. That'll drain back to the filter much nicer, or flow back to the filter that's pressurized. This little sensor is not used on my motor, so I just put the cap back on it and sealed it up. That's ready to go. Let's see. I ported I got the oil filter threads back in, and that bottom side is ported and cleaned up as well. So all this stuff is ready to install along with this, and this eventually is what after the car gets back in or motor gets back in the car. Catch can for when it's on the stand or on the subframe. This is before it gets on the subframe. Clutch is still over there, engine's still sitting there. So what I did after getting the oil pan ported and cleaned was bust out my exhaust cutout and slap that together quickly. So that was fun. This thing is super simple, only one wire connector to the motor. I'm going to turn this down slightly. One wire to the motor, and then this plugs in here. This harness goes up to the brain. Here's my switch. This is for if you have two cutouts, you can control them with one switch. I already have this connector connected, and the power connector is right here, and all this goes to is ground and 12 volts switched. And then you just have to mount the switch somewhere in this little controller brain. So that's going to end up being really simple. I've got this assembled and these just loosely installed on here for when when we get going on the exhaust system. That will be included with this bunch of stuff over there. I think maybe if I can you see the mid pipe? Anyway, there's a mid pipe in the system that I'm hoping that one can replace without too much effort. There's the headers sitting over there. Transmission, water pump with the new seals installed. Got the alternator over there, AC, seats and all that stuff. Yeah. So, what's next is, I think I'm gonna start, I'm gonna dig out either some of that stuff and install some parts in the rear here. I can get some of the accessory stuff in, and some of the plastic, and then I think maybe even like the plastic covering over there and over here, and then maybe even the rear seats, just to like start getting stuff out of the way. I'm not going to put the front seats or the center console obviously or anything in yet, because there's got a lot of the cutout wires are going to pass through that hole somewhere. Obviously stuff's going to be coming through up there. Stuff's going to be coming through maybe over there just to connect to the wiring harness. All this has to get plugged back in and rearranged. We got to add some switches and some light indicator lights, and then wires will get run out through the firewall into the cab into the engine bay for all this stuff. But the intake is done. That's just sitting there, so we can get. I'll move this stuff, and we can get everything from the rear seats back pretty much installed. So that would be, I think, a good use of my time. Other than that, I gotta bend some brake lines to fit my roll control, which I'll have to do eventually as well. And then some wiring as well on gauges and things, and fitting this gauge and where's my little fuel pressure gauge? Oh, right there. That gauge and this gauge will go in there, and then all that has to get tucked in with this to fit behind there and all this. So that is a little bit intimidating, so I might leave that for a hot minute and make some progress back here, but we'll see. been a little bit of a lazy morning, but it went well. This thing went together really good, so I was happy. And all this whole bench is ready to go, parts that don't need my input anymore, so that's fun. This will have to get drilled once I put it on the crank, but again, I have the tool for it, so yeah, definitely. It's not that I don't have anything to do, that's for sure. It's just kind of where do I want to dedicate my efforts to at the moment, because I'm also waiting for those 4 bolts to come in, as you probably know. And that is literally all that's keeping me from getting this motor back together. So that's very exciting, because once that's here, that'll go together. All this stuff will go on, except for the filter. This will go on, this will go on. And then once that's done, this will go onto the hanger so I can spin it around and get the new flywheel and clutch on. And then I can go about measuring and mounting the new slave cylinder on the trans with the bleeder and everything like that. And once that's ready, this will be on the subframe. I can lower this onto the subframe and then put the intake on and then put the transmission on. And then I can start getting all these wires situated, and obviously the front drive accessories, because I will need to get new belts, and then the exhaust will fit on as well. So I can do a lot of fitting before it has to go back up under the car, which is good. But also at that same time, if I have the rear seats and everything in here, that's just one more thing that's done. I figure I'll probably put everything in and together behind the rear seats, and then just leave this panel right here loosely fitted, so I can have access to the nitrous bottle when I need to eventually. Obviously, it's going to get very properly tuned before that gets used. So, but yeah, I think kind of in the mood to start assembling a couple little things and getting things a little bit more cleaned up and put together in here, just because the wiring for the gauges and tapping into everything is, if you read the manuals, it's always so official and can't use this, you gotta use a relay, you can't tap in here because it'll screw everything up, you'll blow up, blah blah blah. So I'm not that scared, I'm just a little bit apprehensive in how it's all gonna fit together, so that'll be fun doing that stuff in due time. The only other custom fit on this is when I get the oil pump on, I will have to check how the fitment on the front cover is with this double roller timing chain. And hopefully I won't need to clearance very much, if anything, but I think maybe it might be like this and that, and maybe, that's probably about it actually. Yeah, looking at it, it would probably just be up in this neighborhood right up here, maybe something along these lines. So hopefully not very much. We'll see how that fits together in due time. So anyway, I'm gonna put this in the box and stick it in the corner. I'm gonna raise the car up and pull some of that stuff out, and then I think I'm gonna go have a bite to eat, and I'll come back after lunch and maybe mess around in the car a little bit. But yeah, cool stuff, guys. Hey, garage people, coming at you Tuesday, early afternoon. It's been a minute since I posted last, but don't worry, you haven't really missed much. Currently just watching a little YouTube how-to video here on some basic installations for my my roll control kit brake lines that I got going on. Excuse me. Also, I got the car down here. I'm going to cut in a little bit of progress, or some video that I recorded from last week, and then I'll show you what I did on the motor and a couple little engine part stuff up here. But suffice to say, I'm still waiting on the bolts. They should be here either tomorrow or maybe early Thursday for the oil pump, and then we'll get that going. But I will cut myself off here, play that video, or cut that video in, and then bring you back to me today after that's done and show you where we're at right now. So yeah, see you in a sec. Alright, Camaro fans, garage people, motorheads in general, we're back at you here Tuesday afternoon, February 18th. After you watched my little video from last week, and the end of last week and last weekend. So that's what I got up to last week. Let me turn the camera around for you here, and you can see in the interim what I've been up to. Car's way down on the ground here, so I can get into it. But as you can see, got the rear interior in. Trunk area is in. Cargo flap, rear plastic nitrous bottle is under there. The subwoofer is in here. Plastic is in. Completed intake is sitting there waiting for installation. Bolts are on their way. Seats are in. And the dash is still torn apart because all my wiring is sitting here. So we've got nitrous wiring right there. We've got roll control wiring right there. We've got gauge wiring right there. We've got purge wiring right here for nitrous. The exhaust cutout is sitting on the floor over there. There's a shifter. My shifter is right there with the switch on it. And then we got our roll control up under here with our light shining on our brakes. So today, the rest of my plan, so I've already done a bunch of wiring. I went to the hardware store this morning, finished off all these things. This loom right here is for the roll control. This is the switch that'll go on the shift arm, but not on the knob, because that little one on the knob is for the nitrous. But this will go on the arm, and then to ground, and then it's got this light here that'll show activation. And then it goes to the solenoid up front to activate it, and then to power the whole system. So that's pretty sweet after I get that solenoid. So this red line, or this red wire right here will eventually connect to the end of that red wire right there. After that is mounted up under the hood. And there's a little window down in here that I can pull out to run wires through. So that should go well. I got the headlight wire exposed here to wire in these dimmer lights for the gauges, so they dim down when the headlights turn on for driving at night. The plastics are all sitting here because I'm gonna need to drill some holes in them to mount this light, to mount this little switch slash light here for the purge system. This switch will have to get mounted. That's the arming switch for the nitrous. And then the roll control switch here will go on the shift knob, which already has the other switch on it. And then the switch for the exhaust cutout will go somewhere in the center console in this area. So that all has to be a little bit down the line until after I get this big boy mounted up in here. And the wires fed through the back, so then the dashboard can go, the dash cluster can go back in, and I can get that screwed in, and then make sure everything is happy how it sits, because this is a bunch of wires back here, and I've got them arranged nicely, but they have to fit through this little gap that I made in here. So I'll make that bigger if I have to, but we'll see. So yeah, so the plan for the rest of the day, put that wiring out of the way since I already ran to the hardware store, got the heat shrink, extended those wiring looms, got some fuses for the gauges, wire those in line. This wire right here will eventually have to go under the dash and up through here to connect to this red, or this little white loop coming off this red PCM. That wire right there will get tapped into in order to send a tach signal to this gauge so it can read the tachometer, so it can open the window switch for the nitrous to arm it so it'll only work above, I think I'm probably going to set it at 3,000 RPM. So it'll have a safety pressure switch and an RPM pressure safety switch as well. So it'll be safety by RPM, safety by pressure, then it'll have the arming switch and the activation switch, obviously. So should be pretty safe there. We'll just have to make sure that the ABS is off when that happens, which I could probably wire that in as well, but that won't be as big of a problem. I'm doing burnouts, the ABS is going to be off anyway. So, so yeah, fun stuff. I think I'm going to start by finding a suitable location to mount this roll control solenoid. I'm thinking probably somewhere right around here. And then bend up some lines and get them situated and get everything reconnected. So then I can run wires through here. And then when the bolts come in for this hunk of junk, then oil pump on, bottom end on, engine on stand or engine on hanger, clutch on, bell housing on, measure for slave cylinder distance for the clutch on my shims, which are in this box. Everything is in here, and install the bleeder and everything on the trans. And the trans goes on, and the intake goes on, then the wiring goes on, and then this thing will go under and up and in once the exhaust and obviously all that stuff is connected. So then once that is in, which is really only a couple days away after those bolts come in, then the wires in here can be finally finished and tucked how they need to be and final wired into the looms that they need to be wired into. So lots of little tedious things left, but definitely making progress. So this was one of the ones that I was a little bit nervous about, and I'm not nearly as nervous about it anymore. So I think it'll be just fine. We're gonna get this mounted up, and I'll keep you guys posted. Yeah, it's been some breaks. Hey, garage people. Tuesday still. Tuesday evening, it's getting late. Got the Grand Prix in the garage because the girlfriend's taking this to work tomorrow. Bringing the Subaru in for a tire rotation and oil change, which I would maybe think of doing myself, but the lift is occupied and it's like -1 million outside. And also, she wants to keep her warranty, so we're gonna have the shop do it. But, flip you around. I've been chugging under the hood, and as you can see, I've made some progress. So I changed up my plan for my roll control. I'm mounting it in the rear brakes. So I've got master cylinder 2. That's this spot right there. This is master cylinder 1, which is for the front brakes. And so I tapped into master cylinder 2, which is for the rears. And then I've got that running to my roll control solenoid on the inlet. On the one outlet here, I've got my brake sensor, which, truth be told, now that I'm running it this way, I don't even know if it'll work like I intend, but if nothing else, it's there, and it can always be switched with just a simple switch of the brake lines if someone ever wants to put it, or if I ever want to put it for that matter, to front activation. But right now it'll be sitting, foot off the brake, hit the button, solenoid clicks, rear brake is canceled out, front brake only, foot on, then you rev up, dump the clutch, burn out, foot on the front brake, modulate, nice roasty burnout, let it off, go. So, and also you can foot brake on the line if you want, while loading up the rear gear. So, but anyway, I wanted to be able to modulate the foot control, so we're going with that. So we got our roll control wired or plumbed in. This outlet will be covered with a port. I got the sensor here. So this one will get bent up to fit into this end right here. And then, yeah, got the ground for the solenoid right here. These two wires are for the brake switch, and then this one is for the power for the solenoid. So those will run up through here along this way eventually after this gets plumbed in. And then these two come up, and I think this one goes in the front right here, and I think this one goes up here. This one goes up here, I think. So yeah, should be good. Just got a little Fast and Furious action going on. Yeah, Johnny Tran. So yeah, girlfriend's on the way home. I'm gonna go and get something to eat. And tomorrow morning, I'm gonna hit this early, finish getting this bent up, and get these lines strung through. And then I will be back to waiting on my bolts, which I think will be here tomorrow as well. So it'd be sweet for me to get this finished up tomorrow morning before I go bring the Subaru to the shop, which I think I can, because I just got to finish bending this, plumb that in, tighten everything down, and then pull the pigtail and start running wires. So should be pretty slick. I'm just going to put this out of the way for now and toss the wires up there and get this thing closed and head inside and get myself a bite to eat and turn off this heater. But I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Keep wrenching.